What is up, Edison duelists? This is Dionysus, aka Young Puds, coming at you guys with some more shameless, hypebeast, gigavize content. Now, I want you all to do me a favor. Take a deep breath in, hold it for a moment, and exhale. You have just breathed in a deep breath on a Monday. Don't you feel alive? I don't know about you guys, but every Monday I am energized. I am full of passion and zest for life because every Monday is another opportunity to succeed. Not just in the field of Yu-Gi-Oh, but in the field of life in general. Every Monday is a fresh start, a fresh opportunity. Were you thinking of neglecting your goals? Stop that. Stop that right now. So, what I have for you is a couple of matches that I thought were particularly entertaining, maybe a little instructive, and most of all, lots of fun. And I hope that they can give you guys that push you need to go out and achieve something that you were looking forward to doing this week. I don't know about you guys, but here where I live in the Northeast, spring is finally on its way. The snows have melted, and I have developed over the winter quite a big layer of extra padding. I got fat over the winter, and it is my goal to get back in the gym, get back on the bicycle, maybe even hit the Stairmaster, go for a run, that kind of thing. I'm trying to get back in shape, and I am, ooh, folks, I am killing it. And not only am I killing it in the gym, I am killing it out here on Dueling Book. So let's jump into this first game that we played against a Disaster Dragon player. We are opening pretty mid here, not gonna lie. Supervise is nice, Mark of the Rose is nice, but Heavy Storm is nice, Judgment is nice, but none of this is going anywhere. We need an SSN, we need something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit an Armory or a DDR, and we are gonna find our way to a Gigaplant off the mill. So, at the very least, we can mark, banish the Gigaplant, DDR it back, discarding the Dandelion. So if we can find our way to the SSN, we can be online pretty quickly, but we are definitely on the back foot. Meanwhile, our opponent is going to start off with a Gold Sark for Future Fusion. Once I see that, I'm pretty sure he's on Dragons. Most other decks that play Future Fusion are not going to be Gold Sarking for it. I draw into an Upstart, and unfortunately, I do draw a Titanial, which is going to be no help. So I am just going to go ahead and pass. Our opponent is going to pick up a Royal Decree, and then he is going to go ahead and MST our one set. So much for our Solemn Judgment. He's then going to summon the Red Eyes Wyvern, banish it for Red MD, and then go ahead and summon the Kawaki Meru Drago. So right here, he can tell that I've bricked a little bit. He did say, "Yo, big fan." So I know that he knows that I'm on Gigavice, and I think he can kind of smell the blood in the water. He sees that I'm weak at this time, so he wants to just kind of close out the game fast, make a big push for big damage here. And that's exactly what he does. He's going to lose the Drago without a Dragon to reveal, but he will just be able to bring it back on his next turn, and he has the Decree, he has the Mirror Force, so he is probably in pretty good shape. And now we are going to draw a Gigaplant for turn, which seems unfortunate, but in fact, this is a fantastic draw. This is just about as good as it gets, folks. So go ahead and take a moment, pause the video, and find the line to win the game. We don't have Lone Fire, we don't have any tuners, but we can, in fact, win right here. What would you do, folks? Take a moment, let me show you what I did. So we're going to go ahead and Heavy Storm, clear the back row. Now there is only a Red MD in the way. That seems like a perfect target to go ahead and hit with the Mark of the Rose. So we will take that Red MD, we'll DDR, discarding a Gigaplant to summon the Gigaplant we banish. We'll normal summon that Gigaplant to summon back the one we just discarded. That one gets a Supervise, and that brings out Titanial. And that is enough to swing in for game, just like that. So we'll go off to game 2. And now our opponent is going to have the opportunity to side against us, and we're going to have the opportunity to side against them. I think Dragons probably has some more things that are really good to put in against us than we have that are really good to put in against them. So getting a little tougher games 2 and 3. What's not going to be tough is dealing with just a face-down debris dragon. Foolish Future Fusion is definitely coming, so we are on a little bit of a clock, but we have some nice explosiveness with that Lone Fire, with those Super Solar Nutrients. So I'm going to go ahead and use a Super Solar Nutrient first, just to have more card activity. This other Lone Fire is going to be live in my hand in the future. I'm going to summon a Titanial here. I'm thinking, well, he might have Raikou or something like that. And so I don't want to commit a Gigaplant to the field just yet. And since I have one in hand, I definitely don't want to use my only other Gigaplant. I want to be summoning the second Gigaplant off of the Lone Fire in my hand. So just Titanial here. We'll swing over the debris, and then we'll set a Threatening Roar, pass it back to our opponent. He's going to draw that very scary Eradicator Epidemic Virus, which could be a huge problem for us. He's going to try and summon Exploder Dragon to answer Titanial, but we are going to Threatening Roar for that. I would rather not lose Titanial to it, and really fantastic here, we actually draw Nettles for turn, which is going to be a fantastic way to just run over the Exploder Dragon, and then we'll get in for 2800 with Titanial. So, you know, we're on a clock with Future Fusion, but our opponent is also being put on a little bit of a clock. He's going to draw that Future Fusion, which is going to conflict with that Gores that he drew, but nevertheless, he's going to go ahead and activate it to send a whole bunch of monsters right to his graveyard. He's going to send that second Exploder Dragon as well as 2 Wyverns and a red MD. And then he's going to just set the EEV and end phase. He's going to go ahead and summon out not 1, but 2 red MDs. That way he can contribute 1 for the EEV, and then he still has strong field presence. So that's pretty bad for us. We're going to lose a Gold Sark. We're going to lose a SSN. The SSN is a little bit dead. Now here in this situation, this is the kind of thing where you're in a bad situation. Your opponent has a lot of cards in hand. There's a lot of terrible things that could happen, but you kind of just have to play to your victory conditions. There's a lot of things that we could lose to no matter what. However, there are some lines that we can find that could get us to the win. So, for example here, we are going to actually just go ahead and Lone Fire for Gigaplant. And then we are going to swing with Titanial into the red MD to get that off the field. Can't have that sticking around. And then we'll swing with Gigaplant. So it's not great. However, look at this. That's 2 red MDs in the graveyard. Our opponent is not going to have the highest chances of being able to just put another red MD on the field. He'd have to draw it for turn. And I think the Gigaplant actually has a reasonable chance of surviving. And if it does survive, then next turn we could normal something. If he doesn't have anything to commit to the board, we can just swing for game. If he does have something to commit to the board, we can at least put up a slightly stronger field, maybe draw an out. That's going to be tough because most of our deck is spells, which we are going to lose. So here our opponent does pick up a Morphing Jar number 2. However, they're going to try and play aggressively, perfectly acceptable. They're going to set the Red Eyes Wyvern. So this is going to give us a chance to go ahead and win. We're going to lose that Miracle Fertilizer we picked up to the EEV. And then here we are going to normal summon the Gigaplant. And we are going to go ahead and use its effect. And I'm going to think about this, but I'm actually going to summon the Gigaplant from hand. What I'm hoping here is that my opponent, they're going to get the 5-headed dragon. But I'm hoping that that's the only big threat they have. So they're going to be able to kill one of the Gigaplants. We're going to be left with another, and then we're going to be able to do something with that second Gigaplant. So again, not the best situation, but you can't give up. You can't back down. We're getting our opponent's life points pretty low here. So all we need is one good shot for damage, and we can find a way through. So the 5-headed dragon is going to come out. Our opponent is going to find that red MD. However, they are just going to go ahead and swing over the Gigaplant. And we are going to take some damage, but they are going to actually pass, leaving us on another Gigaplant. So this is really fantastic for us. I think they're just feeling pretty secure with the EEV up and the 5-headed dragon up, so they're not wanting to overcommit. They definitely could have just, you know, summoned the oh, I guess they can't summon the red MD. Because Drago, you can't special summon red MD under it. So, all right. No, okay. I was going to say maybe they misplayed here, but I guess not. They have their 5-headed dragon. They're feeling strong. They don't have a way to put the red MD on the field. They don't want to put Morphing Jar number 2 on the field at this point and lose their 5-headed dragon. That's kind of their win condition. So I guess that makes sense. And then anyways, in end phase, they are going to be able to bring back the red MD with that 3rd Wyvern. We're going to draw a Mark of the Rose for turn. And that is actually really unfortunate because our pathway to victory here, is to go ahead and summon a Power Tool Dragon and just try and search Mark of the Rose. Searching gets around EEV. And unfortunately for us, drawing that Mark of the Rose means that we're no longer going to have 66% round up to 100% to definitely steal the 5-headed dragon and win. Now we're going to have to hit a 1 out of 3, folks, if we want to win this match here on the spot. And wouldn't you know it, we found that narrow line, that narrow path to victory. It required some help from our opponent, setting that Wyvern instead of the Morphing Jar number 2. However, it was enough for us to get there, and we did find that 33% rounding up to 100%, and now we can just have 5-headed dragon swing over the red MD for game. I was also thinking, well, okay, maybe we Giga Plant here and summon Copy Plant and make Black Rose Dragon to just clear the 5-headed dragon, but I have no follow-up for that. There's not a lot that I could top deck there. That's not a situation I want to find myself in. So this, I think, was the only line that I had for victory, and you have to take those shots. You have to try for it, and we did end up finding our way to win. So that is going to be GG, and then we are going to go to this next match here. So our opponent has a very nice starting hand with Gores and Morphing Jar, Chaos Sorcerer, so he's going to set the Morphing Jar and set a whole bunch of traps. We have a fantastic hand ourselves. Look at this, Lone Fire Blossom, DDR, all this fantastic stuff. I'm going to go ahead and just Gold Sark for Trunade here, thinking, okay, well, that's a lot of sets. I'm pretty scared, so I'm not going to play into them. Of course, you know, it's just Draw Traps and Mirror Force, so kind of got bluffed out there. You know, I think I also, I had the Gold Sark, so I could have gotten, another starter in the future with DDR, like Banish Lone Fire or something like that, if the play gets stopped. However, all of that is going out the window now as we are just getting absolutely dunked on by this Morphing Jar, drawing a strictly worse hand. Our opponent's going to pick up a bunch more cards with all those draw traps, and then start cycling through their deck with Solar Recharge after dropping a Dad. They're still going here. This is not looking good for us, folks. He's going to summon back the Plague Spreader zombie, and then summon out the Vayu. He'll banish the Gores to pop his own Vayu. Look at that, folks. And then activate Vayu's effect to summon out the Armed Wing. And then he can Synchro 4 for Armory Arm. And then he does, in fact, have the Burial to just win the game on the spot. So right there, big mistake not trying to play into the back row. And, you know, our opponent just kind of had the nuts, and we got dunked on. That happens sometimes, but you can't get intimidated by that. You got to pick yourself up, and you got to keep on playing. And we have a great hand here. I'm seeing Upstart Goblin. We find a Gold Sark with that. That's pretty nice. And then we also have a Hidden Armory. So that's going to find us the Supervise to go with our Lone Fire Blossom. We have, you know, the... you have these 3 cards in hand, Lone Fire, Supervise, Trunade. You are in pretty good shape. I'm going to go ahead and Gold Sark here for a Fertilizer, and we'll set that Raigeki Break just in case we have to answer like Fossil Dyna or something like that. Instead, our opponent is going to go ahead and summon Lila and swing in for 17. We are going to allow that. We're even going to allow him to destroy our Raigeki Break. Totally fine with us. I'd rather have the Mark of the Rose as an extender anyways. We're going to draw a Gold Sark for turn. That's not going to be particularly useful. And instead, we are just going to start off with our combo. We're going to go Lone Fire into Giga Plant, equip the Giga Plant with Supervise, bring back Lone Fire. And then here, you know, we're just pushing for damage. We are just trying to close out this game as fast as possible. We're pushing for extenders, so we go into Power Tool Dragon. Supervise brings back the Giga Plant. We're going to go ahead and hit that 66%. And our opponent is just going to go ahead and scoop it up. He doesn't have Gores. Even if we miss there, you know, we still could keep playing. We did have the Mark of the Rose and everything. So totally fine for our opponent to scoop it up. And we are going to go into game number 3. Let's see how we handle this. So we've got a pretty good hand here. I'm seeing Dandelion. I'm seeing Super Solar Nutrient. I'm seeing Supervise. And again, we have the Trunade. It doesn't have a ton of back row in this deck. It's a pretty fast turbo mill kind of strategy, but that is just fine. He's going to set a Legacy of Yatagarasu and pass it back to us. We are going to go ahead and set that Dandelion and set that Book of Moon. I'm not seeing a discard trap or a lightning vortex or anything like that. So I am wanting to get the tokens as fast as possible. I think just setting the Dandelion is going to be fine here. We have the Book of Moon to keep it a little safer in case our opponent starts going really wide. Hopefully we can limit them to 2 attacks and we still have a token to use with the SSN. So here our opponent is going to Legacy in end phase just to make sure can't flip a Decree or anything crazy like that. He's going to draw into Chaos Sorcerer and Royal Oppression following that for turn. So pretty threatening setup here. He has the Gores, he has the Oppression, he has the Mirror Force. Huge problem for us. He is going to attack over the Dandelion, which I'm very happy to see happen, and then set 2 back row, pass it back to us. We get a fantastic draw here, which is going to be Foolish Burial. So we'll start things off with a Giant Trunade, picking everything up, and then folks, we actually, believe it or not, from this point, have a line for lethal through the Gores. Can you spot it? Take a moment, pause the video, put down in the comments if you find the line. Maybe you find something better than what I'm about to do. Definitely let me know. I love finding out the better lines that you guys come up with. I think it really helps me improve as a player, and that's really what I'm always trying to do. I'm always trying to get better, no matter what I'm doing. So here we go. We are going to go ahead and fire off the Super Solar Nutrient for a Lone Fire Blossom. Lone Fire Blossom is going to tribute itself to bring out another Lone Fire, which then takes us into Gigaplant. Here we are going to Supervise to bring out a Lone Fire Blossom. We are going to tribute a Lone Fire here for Nettles, and then we are going to go ahead and Synchro 8 for Colossal Fighter. Supervise is going to activate, bringing back the Gigaplant. We're now going to spend our normal summon on the Gigaplant, bring out the Lone Fire Blossom. Lone Fire Blossom is going to tribute the token for a Copy Plant, and then we will Synchro 4, the Armory Arm, equip the Armory Arm to the Sirocco. Our opponent pitches Gores in disgust and quits the duel on the spot. So that is going to be GG for us. Very nice, worth taking note. If you have the 2 Dandy tokens up and you still have Copy Plant in your deck, all you need is Supervised SSN, and that is in fact a Colossal Fighter Armory Arm line. So, good thing to know about, good way to get that OTK off. I think that's honestly a little bit easier than having like Lone Fire Supervise. So let's go into our third game, and this is actually against our friend Galaxy Star, who we saw in our Salty Duelist video. Galaxy Star got a little salty that we drew perfect hands against his Forg deck. And let's see what happens this time around. We have a pretty funny hand. I think this is a really silly hand. Double for double HA, single Gold Sark. It's a good hand, don't get me wrong. This is a very powerful hand, but it is definitely pretty silly. He's going to go ahead and set the Fishborg Blaster. We're going to start off with an upstart. We find a Super Solar Nutrient. Not the most useful thing in the world, but we are going to go ahead and hit an Armory for DDR, and then we go ahead and hit an Armory for Lone Fire Blossom. So even better there. That is really fantastic for us. We did have the Gold Sark already, so we still had the answer, but this is a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and start comboing here. We're going to go into Gigaplant, and then all of this is just off of the 1 Lone Fire because I want to try and use the SSN. We'll make a Power Tool Dragon to start things off, and we do hit the Supervise off of that, which is really fantastic. We're going to go ahead now at this time and Gigaplant for Copy Plant, not Synchro Summon. Instead, we're going to use the second Fertilizer to bring back Lone Fire Blossom, and then tribute the Gigaplant for, wait for it, a Dandelion. Interesting play here, I think. This is going to let the Supervise bring back the Gigaplant, and then we are going to Copy Plant, copy the Dandelion's level to bring out Bryonac. We're going to use Bryonac's effect to bounce the Fertilizer, and then we are going to go ahead and Fertilizer to bring back Copy Plant. Before we Synchro Summon, we'll discard the Gold Sark to bring back the Fertilizer again to our hand, and then we are going to summon out an Armory Arm, And here we are going to equip the armory arm onto the power tool dragon. We're going to go ahead and use the fertilizer here to get lone fire, and then lone fire is going to get us to the second lone fire, and then finally to titanial. And then we're going to use the brio one more time to clear that set monster. I did mess up a little bit here, folks, because our opponent's at 9,000, so this is not quite game through gores. I think there might have been a better way to sequence things, maybe where we actually get to use the SSN. I'm not 100% sure, but I do think there is a kill line through gores here. I definitely failed to execute it. You know, I try my best to find these lines, but I also, like, you know, I want to respect my opponent's time, and I don't want to make them wait on me forever. So we're going to go ahead and push in for game. Of course, our opponent, despite having gores in their profile picture, does not have gores in their hand. So we're going to go into game 2. And we really opened up very strong there, and then milling that lone fire was the icing on the cake. So I'm almost expecting to brick in this next game, and while we don't outright brick, we definitely don't draw super well either. And then meanwhile, our opponent does have 2 DD Crow, which could be a big threat. However, we are going to go ahead and upstart, and then we have a Foolish Burial. So that looks like full combo to me with that Miracle Fertilizer. However, our opponent is going to go ahead and DD Crow the Lone Fire. That's fine by me. I'm going to set the Dandelion so I don't get 4 OTK'd along with the Chalice, just to have some defense up. Maybe we could make Catastor if it survives, something like that. Then all I'm really doing now is just waiting to find a DDR. And our opponent clarifies that we can still normal summon in set because Fertilizer didn't actually special summon something. It's a really weird card. It's worded very strangely, but it is important to note that it doesn't turn off your normal summon when you activate it. It turns off the normal summon when you summon successfully. So here our opponent still doesn't really have anything going. He's just going to set a Dupe Frog. He's looking for that Substitute. We are going to keep looking for our combo extender as well. We're going to upstart into a Dandelion. And then we're going to normal summon the Dandelion and normal summon the Nettles. I am going to run over the Treeborn Frog and then check for Flip-Flop Frog. I'll take 800, but that is perfectly fine by me. And then we'll Synchro Summon into the Catastor, get our 2 tokens up as well. I'm thinking, okay, now if this Catastor survives, that's a big if, but if it does survive, then we are going to be able to go ahead and get ourselves into a Power Tool Dragon. So we'll pass back to our opponent. They are going to summon back the Treeborn Frog, and they have drawn the Substitute, which is going to be really fantastic for them. And they are going to think for a little bit. We do have that back row. I'm sure that's very scary, very intimidating. And they are just going to choose to normal summon the Swamp Frog at this time, sending another Substitute, and then just clear out my tokens. So they're not wanting to commit the Substitute just yet. I think that's fair. They're the best they could really do with this kind of hand, summoning the Substitute, is just a Dupe Lock, and they do still have the Crow, which is going to be some nice defense, and they could put a Dupe Lock on the field anyways with just bouncing Swamp Frog, summon Dupe Frog. So I think that's perfectly fantastic of our opponent to be doing. We're now going to draw in SSN, which is a nice little card, especially when we can go ahead and Furt to bring back the Nettles, but unfortunately our opponent is going to snipe that away with a second DD Crow. So super unfortunate for us. However, we are going to now be able to set that Dandelion, and if that does get attacked, then we have the SSN on. Our opponent's going to move all of his frogs in defense position. Even without a Substitute, I'm sure it feels uncomfortable to leave a Dupe Frog in attack. Our opponent's going to normal summon a Swamp, send another Substitute to grave, and then run over our Dandelion, giving us our tokens. Folks, I think this might be a mistake. It's pretty clear that Gigavise is setting something. You can safely assume it's a Dandelion. And usually, like, they're setting that Dandelion because they want you to attack it. So it's probably best to not attack it, especially he already has my Nettles banished. Like, what am I going to do with a Dandelion? Conversely, I can do a lot with a Super Solar Nutrient. And indeed, I am about to do quite a bit with that Super Solar Nutrient. We're gonna start trying to go off here. So I'll SSN into Lone Fire into Gigaplant. He is going to allow that. He does have that Torrential, which is pretty scary for us, but he is going to try and hold on. holding off on using it, letting us commit more to the board. Definitely pretty scary for us. So we're going to Gigaplant into Supervise into Copy Plant. And then we are going to go ahead and make a Power Tool Dragon. Bring back the Gigaplant off of Supervise. He's still holding that Torrential Tribute. Very scary for us. However, I'm starting to feel a little bit safe. I'm like, ooh, yeah, everything's fine here. I don't have to worry. I'm going to DDR, discarding the Hidden Armory, which is really quite a big commitment to bring back the Nettles. And now I was planning on making a Mistworm, but he's going to go ahead and Torrential Tribute now. So he still gets all of his Dupe Frog effects. This is definitely not great for us, folks. We are going to be starting to fall behind, and he's going to pick up a Flip-Flop Frog as well as the Beelza Frog, like Beelzebub. Yeah, that's got to be it. It's a funny name. And now we do still have our normal summon, so we're going to use that Fertilizer, this time not met with DD Crow, so it finally resolves. He's going to go Standby Phase, summon Treeborn Frog, and then he is going to go ahead and just set the Flip-Flop Frog. Perfectly fine, very safe for us. We are going to go ahead and pick up a Giant Trunade, which is, frankly, a pretty fantastic draw. I'm going to go ahead and activate it now, putting the Fertilizer back in our hand, and then putting the Chalice back in our hand. And then we're just going to normal summon the Gig. Summon out the Lone Fire, and summon a Titanial. And then here we are going to attack the Treeborn Frog, and then clear the Flip-Flop Frog. I want it gone, I want it off the field. And we are going to allow that effect to go through. I don't want to waste the Chalice here. I'm pretty sure, you know, he's just kind of waiting. I really want the Chalice to be going off on a Substitute. So we're going to set it and then pass. He draws an Elemental Hero Ocean, which is really not a very good draw for him. He's got a handful of frogs, and he really just needs to find the Fishborg. And then we would definitely be in trouble. Instead, he's just going to set that ocean, pass it back to us. We pick up another Fertilizer, which is going to be really strong. We're going to Gigaplant effect, summon Titanial. Here, we probably should have gone a little wider. We probably should have summoned Lone Fire, summoned Gigaplant, normal summon the Gigaplant, and then summon Titanial. But this is perfectly fine. We're just leaving, you know, the biggest resource in this deck is your normal summon, and we are leaving that on the table. Definitely a little suboptimal. Our opponent's going to pick up a Dandelion, is a, you know, it's a good draw to help him stall some more, but it's not the best draw to help him combo. So again, he is just going to continue setting and passing. Now we are going to go ahead and use the Gigaplant to go wide. I realized my mistake after I passed, and this turn we're not going to mess that up. We're going to summon the Gigaplant, we're going to bring out the Nettles, and then we are just going to start attacking in. I want to go wide with the Nettles just to have another body, and then we can synchro summon with it later if he drops Gores on us or something like that. I was thinking, okay, well, we could make the Brute Drago after the Gores, and then he's not going to be able to hit over that 3,000 body. Instead, it is a Dandelion, so we're just going to clear those tokens, and then main phase 2, we are going to make that Brute Drago just to have a nice, very strong field into something like a Lightning Vortex. Here, our opponent is going to go Standby Phase, summon out the Treeborn Frog, and then set a Swap Frog and set that Reckless Greed. So still giving us a little more time. We're going to find a way to that Miracle Fertilizer Armory combo. So we have full combo in hand, but I'm not wanting to commit those just yet. There's lots of back row to be concerned about, and no reason to commit these cards. They're very powerful to kind of hold in hand. And instead, we're just going to summon the Gigaplant and then go ahead, bring out the Nettles, and go for a Stardust. Play around Mirror Force. We don't have to worry about Torrential. It's already been used. We'll have Stardust attack the Treeborn Frog. We will go ahead and attack Swap Frog. I'm also not particularly concerned about Flip-Flop Frog. I think playing 2 triple Fs would be a little bit much. So we're going to swing in for 2,400 and then swing in big for 3,000 and then pass the turn. Our opponent's going to draw 1 for 1, which is really fantastic for him. Now he has that Fishborg access, and then he's going to Reckless Greed for salvage, second Reckless Greed. So he is going to go main phase 1, bring out the Treeborn Frog in standby. Think for a little bit here. He's definitely got options. All he has to do is 1 for 1 to get that Fishborg into the graveyard, which indeed he is able to do. And fortunately for us, he doesn't have any back row answers. So we have the Chalice for the Substitute, we have the DD Crow for the Fishborg, and that is going to shut him down pretty handily. Start off with the Substitute. We are going to Chalice to negate that. And then here he's going to summon out the Swap Frog and then bounce the Substitute back so he can use it later and summon out Death Frog. And then now, you know, at least he could make a Bryanak, he could make Goyo, you know, he could make something just to kind of put up a bit of a wall. But unfortunately for him, we do have the DD Crow for the Fishborg, and that is going to be GG. So well played once again to Galaxy Star. I want to also, you know, shout out, he was very cool after the match. We discussed, you know, the game a little bit. He apologized for being salty even. So, you know, shout out to my opponent. Definitely a real guy. I know I've put the angry Wojak for my opponent in this video, and I kind of clown on salty duelists, but I want you to know it's all love. If I'm clowning on you, it's just for the content. What can I say? You know, it's shameless, it's hype beast, it's Gigabytes content. You got to expect it. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed these matches. We have some very exciting things coming up on the channel very, very soon. So make sure you are subscribed. If you are not already subscribed, drop a comment if you have any suggestions for better lines I could have come up with, or video ideas, stuff you would like to see. I'm always reading your comments. I try and respond to as many as I can. And I do also really take your video ideas seriously. So I hope you guys have a great week. I will see you tomorrow and every day this week with more shameless hypebeast Gigabytes content. This has been Dionysus, aka Young Puds. I will see you guys later. All right, take care, everyone.